Hey, everybody. I'm Liz Larson. I'm here with Bill McKenna. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Liz.
And, we're really talking to all of our Cogno movers already. People are already part of the community, but there may be people who hear this who don't exactly know what we're talking about, but might see themselves in what we're saying. So we want to welcome you too. We're talking about the CognoConscious seminar that's coming up in September. And Bill and I always say that this is our biggest seminar of the year. In fact, we're real cautious when we put it on the schedule because it's so intense, even for Bill and I. It is incredible beyond incredible, changes who you are as a human, changes your energy, changes your consciousness, things like psychic abilities and that come online. But we actually want to start at the bottom because at this seminar, we work from shame and the energy sucking value of shame all the way through the scale, the Hawkins scale, up to enlightenment. And this is over a 4-day period. So yeah, there's this scale there. And we're talking about energy levels in terms of joules and the availability of energy in your body. So we wanted to talk today about the first level, which is shame. And could it be playing an unseen role in your life? So most of the people that we're talking to here, Bill, right there at a high level anyway, they've done a lot of work. They're really conscious people, and you guys really are. And so people are always so shocked when they find shame running as a pattern in their body because they're just unaware. So has this been your experience, Bill, how shocked people are that it's running in their system?
Yeah, it's such a thing that most people, they maybe feel anger or they feel anxiety, worry, but they don't really realize that the true underlying cause of it all was shame. And as this goes on, I'll explain a little bit more about why that's the case. And we accidentally discovered that when we help the person process their own shame of their life, that what happens is there's a collapse in that anger, there's a collapse in the anxiety, and there's a natural jump in your understanding. And you don't even have to work for it. All you have to do is feel the shame of your lifetime and do this particular movements to let it leave your body. And then with that, these jumps and these fabulous things that Liz has talked about naturally occur.
Let me just set that up a tiny bit though, Bill. Really what we're talking about is it releases the energy. So shame, because it's at such a low level of 20, it is literally absorbing or utilizing your body's own natural horsepower. The energy you could have available, it is just sucking it down. So like I said, most of you are at a much higher level
Down here.
and you don't realize that there's a pull, a drain on your energy that runs as shame. So let's talk a little bit about where that might come from. But let me set this up first. I want you to know that at a CognoConscious seminar, it's different than anything else we do. And there are very different prompts and ways that we gather all of the shame of your life that's running as a pattern in your system. So even if you've been with us for a while, if you've never been to a CognoConscious seminar, you won't have encountered this level of gathering. So that's different. But let's start, Bill, about talking about where some of these things might come from. And when we were talking off camera, you were talking about ancestors.
Yeah. So if you look at it, right, for all of us, now there could be things stored in your body. there's actual scientific evidence. Dr. Diaz out of UCSD, he did an experiment with mice. He had this cage and they electrified the bottom of the cage. And then they took this fruity smell and they put the fruity smell over the top of the cage. And as soon as they put that fruity smell over, then they shocked the mice. Now that traumatized the mice. They did this repeatedly. And then they took the sperm and eggs out of those mice, implanted them as an embryo into the other mice, and those mice gave birth. And guess what? The mice that had never met their parents, had never been traumatized, they put them in a box and they put the fruity smell in over them, and the mice went nuts. They had the trauma, it was passed on from generation to generation, and we're no different. We are no different. Not only that, but I had the most interesting, if I could share a story about shame and its impact. I had a client that had a terrible life collapse. Everything that you can imagine had repeatedly just crushed. Relationships in family, romantic relationships, health, everything in their life literally had collapsed. And when we were doing the Cogno movement session, she saw herself as worrying and angry and resentful and that sort of thing. But when we did Cogno movement for shame, we ended up finding located in her 2 front teeth. Shame. She had twice, not once, twice, been raped by different men, got pregnant both times, and aborted both times, and had completely suppressed the memory of all this, had, not thought about it, anything. Well, it came up because we were able, through some of the techniques, to find it in their front teeth. And when she did the exercise and eliminated all of the shame of this, the anger collapsed and professional life took off. The relationships became totally different and positive. So many aspects of life were affected. Her health was affected as well. So anyway, this is a really kind of a good example of the hidden shame of our lifetime.
Well, and I know that there are people out there who can absolutely relate to that. And I know some of you are like, well, I don't really have anything so dramatic in my life. However, there's some really hidden things that we don't think about. If you were raised in any kind of religion, shame is built right in there. You're wrong and dirty from the word go in most religions.
Original sin,
right? So, and even some other funny things, like I grew up with brothers and they tease incessantly. And siblings can make us feel ashamed of how we look or things we like. I remember once when I was a kid, maybe 4th grade, and I thought this boy was cute. And I remember a good family friend of ours teased me about the thing that I thought was cute about him. Some of those things can install shame in our nervous systems. Remember, guys, Cogno movement, we're talking about these patterns between the brain and the body, these power lines that get these funny little kinks in them and start to drain power. So little things like that. Religion is not a little thing. It can create and install huge shame, but also even just funny little ones. Some other things to think about where shame might be an issue is old decisions like schooling or not schooling. should you have maybe paid more attention in school and you didn't? That kind of thing. And then things like sexuality. No matter where you are in this country, we're not that open about sexuality at all. So anything having to do with that can bring shame. Shame about bodies. When you start puberty, did you have BO? And so I heard a story about this recently. One of our practitioners worked with someone who their daughter's friend had this terrible body odor, or perceived body odor, and that was creating shame for her. So there's some of those little things. We also build shame into our lives daily. Like, do you eat the way you should? Do you exercise when you should? Do you spend too much time online? Have you had impure thoughts about a coworker? Stuff like that. I mean, we continue to sort of build shame into our lives, and it runs as a pattern and starts to suck energy. What else can you think of, Bill?
Here's what I think is that it could be anything. You're left-handed. You can't spell well. You can't write. You have a learning disability. You can't catch a ball good, or you said something to someone. You told a lie, a fib. You made up a story. The things that we feel shameful about, anything of the 10 Commandments, right? Anything, related to that, you are cooked, right? Or, it could be the color of our skin, back where, we grew up near the Mexican border, and my whole family was ashamed. We were all ashamed of our skin. People talk about being ashamed of, being a person of color. We were ashamed of being white. It's like, oh my gosh, I hate my white skin. It's just ashamed to wear shorts or take off your shirt or anything, it's like, oh God, no.
Kind of true. Everybody around you has a nice tan, and you're the guy who's glowing.
Yeah, they got wonderful. We always considered it wonderful skin. They had this great skin, and here we are, freckled-faced strawberry, But these little things, they might seem like nothing, right? This is like, oh, that's a childish little thing. But you know what? It sets up and it runs a cycle of a feeling in your body. And so this drains your energy. The release of it means that without that running, there can be such a massive jump in what they call your level of consciousness or your understanding. You literally will get a new understanding of life, and it becomes so easy. Coincidences and synchronicities and easy new understandings and being positive become kind of like, well, of course. Yeah.
And what I love about CognoConscious is that the way it's set up, you're not going on an excavation mission. You're not having to dredge all these up and talk about them. What happens is, as we make a prompt for the body to acknowledge them, to find them, the body's really good at this. And then as you work a Cogno movement session, they pop into your mind just one at a time, things you've never thought about in a million years. Pass through about a second at a time, 10 seconds at the most. Some of it's kind of fun because you're like, oh my God, I had no idea that was still running around in my system. And then all of a sudden, that level, the feeling in your body, it just dissolves. It's just gone. And you get that energy back right now, instantly. What were you going to say, Bill?
Oh my gosh. It just occurred to me, Liz, that, some of the people watching might not really be familiar with what we're talking about. This is a book called Power versus Force. Dr. David Hawkins. And what he had developed is this right here. It's called the map of consciousness. And what he had figured out is that as you go up in different understandings, it starts off at shame, and then it moves up to guilt. So shame, you're running an energy of about 20 out of 1,000. So it's very, very low if you're operating there. And then the next level up is guilt. And now you're running 30. Is the kind of given a numeric value to this. And then apathy, grief, fear, desire, meaning cravings or addictions. Anger is just above that. And then pride. And then you move to there's a delineation here, and courage, a willingness to make a change. It moves up to forgiveness and acceptance. And then love, a feeling of love, a feeling of above that joy, which would be love without condition. And as we go to the higher levels of peace, and then finally enlightenment, and what we do is we go through your lifetime of all of these, and bit by bit by bit, we clear it out. And that's why there's such massive change. You can imagine if you were absent today, think about it. If you were absent, the shame of your life, the guilt of your life, the apathy of your life, the grief, the fear, the anger, the worry, if you didn't feel any of those, what would life be like? If you could actually forgive everybody and accept them, and accept life as it is, what would your life be like? Do you think it might be a little different? That is why Liz is saying this is incredible and this is intense. So this map over a 4-day period, we're just walking up the ladder and utilizing the tool of Cognomovement to neurologically rewire you to let go.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's kind of like, remember we had a business once where underneath the building, a water main had broken. And all of a sudden we get this massive bill, water payment. It was like a $500 bill back then. And we had no idea because it was underground. So this is what, shame, guilt, fear, anger, pride, that's what these are like. They drain your resources and you don't even know it's happening. Once that is repaired, man, you get all that back and you're not spending money anymore. But the net result is these big changes in your life. And when we say you're not the same person, you're not. Because when you don't have shame, guilt, fear, pain, running in your body anymore, all of that energy flip-flops up into those higher levels. And the ability to actually feel joy on a regular basis, it's natural to you. It just becomes natural. You have the natural energy to jump up into bliss and love and enlightenment. And in this class, I'm telling you guys, we experience enlightenment. You get to feel what it feels like to be one of those yogis who reaches enlightenment. Now, most of us don't stay there because we still have work to do down in that 500 or below, just slightly, so that we can take this and work with other people. But you experience it and you can get there when you want to again. So it's incredible. But today we wanted to talk about this lowest level because for most of us, it's an unseen drain on our energy. So CognoConscious is starting in the first weeks of September. You can go to CognoConscious or cognomovement.com/upcoming events. And Tay will also put the link here for you. Take a look at this event. If you're someone who is truly ready for a massive upgrade, and you have the willingness to do it, we would recommend you come, because you will find that your life is different in the most incredible way.
Sure is. And, if you want to get a little bit more information on what the heck's going to happen to me, guess what? On our website, cognomovement.com, you go there and there's going to be a little banner, a little pop-up, and it's going to go say, did you see us on Gaia? And you can click on it and you watch an hour masterclass on, they call the map of awareness levels. And it'll show you this is what's going to happen to you. The other thing you can do is go off and get this book and read it. It's actually would be a great prep to, if you are coming, go buy this book. And, I think it's probably even Audible by now. It's one of the best sellers. So read it, and your mind will be open.
All right, everybody. Well, we'll be back. We'll share with you more of these levels so you have a better understanding. But kind of wander around, take a look at yourself today. Wonder if you do have hidden shame running in your body, and see if CognoConscious is right for you. So we'll see you guys all again really soon.
Thank you.